and welcome to our English news coming to you from Canal, Algérie. I'm your host Ines Kilou. To the headlines. Algeria hosts the 14th edition of the Africa Cup of Nations for football under 17 with the participation of 12 countries. Our national football team succeeded in its first game, beating its Somali counterpart 2-0. During this edition, we will take you to Paris to visit the 213th store, a gallery where the Made in Algeria is known by its quality and know-how of our Algerian craftsmen. The Moroccan community in Amsterdam rises up against the injustice, oppression and arbitrary arrests of the Makhzen and its persisting in humiliating the Moroccan people. In the same context, return of decades of betrayal of suspicious relations with the Zionist entity We start our news with the Continental Sport event hosted by Algeria. It was a remarkable evening for our young players who were absolutely great at the opening match of the tournament, beating their Somalis counterpart 2-0. The 14th edition of the Africa Cup of Nations for football under 17 has witnessed this year the participation of 12 teams. And before the opening match, you would have watched via our TV channels the joyful opening ceremony entitled Africa and Youth, which included artistic shows with lights and musical performances of an African character and Algerian production. The official ceremony took place in the presence of the Minister of Youth and Sport, Abdelrahman Hamad. I will leave you enjoy some shots from the ceremony.
تمنيت نعيش غير تانية في فرقية والدنيا هانية من غير هواس بالسما ولادك ديما سالية مفتون بزينك ونغيس في الوان شريس نعيش ونموت شريف نحلم بلوف ان بيس والفرحة دايما الوان هاي فرقية مرحبا باللي جا وجاب لي دي شوفك بسماك النجمة نفرحك وتقولي وليدي
Within the framework of cooperation, a roundtable was organized on Saturday in Bamako on the historical, cultural and commercial relations between Algeria and Mali. This event is organized by the Algerian Embassy in Bamako in collaboration with the Ahmed Baba Study Center in Timbuktu and the Association of Friends of Algeria in Bamako, chaired by Alpha Kunta. The works took place in the presence of our ambassador in Mali, members of the Malian government, as well as historical figures. Let's listen to Mohammed Mahmoud Al-Umrani, former Malian ambassador to Algeria.
Today we have an Algerian and Malian government which evoke the strong links between the two countries and the two people's ties, which must develop the road section from Algiers and Oran to Abrat Gawa and Kanu in Nigeria, and from Algiers to Tamras and Gao. This is part of the major projects that will strengthen these links not only on the economic but on the cultural level as well. For its part, Mali is called upon to re-establish order throughout its territory. Without security, there will be no way for partnership or development. These two countries must work together to re-establish a common agenda and achieve all these objectives.
The work of the national meetings on the policy of the film industry in Algeria to discuss and enrich the law related to the film industry was inaugurated at the Abdellatif Rahal Conference Center. Organized by the Ministry of Culture and Arts, this meeting was marked by the presence of several members of the government, including the advisor of the President of the Republic in charge of cinema and audiovisual, Ahmed Rashdi. Let's take a visit to Paris. To visit the 213 store, a gallery where the Made in Algeria is revisited and worn by Algerians and even foreigners. It is an adventure of two designers, Sarah and Manal, who restyled Algerian Budroun and Sirwel Shilqa to contribute by their own way to safeguard it from emission, plagiarism and theft. More details with Rania Al-Bahri.
This place is a real Alibaba's cave of modern times, inaugurated 2 months ago by the Algerian ambassador to France. The 213 store, which refer to the Algerian International Telephone Code, is the adequate place for the Algerian creators and consumers. Traditional dress, decorative objects, jewelries and even chocolate boxes with Zelig patterns packaging.
Everything here is contemporary. For example, a person who wants to buy a pair of trousers, he can find a pair of shoes or jewelries that go with the outfit. You can also find pieces of interior decoration.
At the origin of this adventure, we can find two sisters and two products from the Algerian woman's wardrobe. The famous Sarwel Shilqa and Budroun, restyled and reinvented, and above all, weared as modern street style for all categories and all occasions. I have restyled Sarwel Shilqa and Budroun with a new material like jeans. There you have the classic Budroun that can also be worn with a classic embroidered jacket. These women didn't stop here, as they transformed the famous Hayek fabric into a real beautiful street style.
Women here can't wear al-hayek every day, so I was thinking about how to wear it for every day, and I decided to make a collection, little shirts like that, and I also made blouses.
The objective of these ladies is certainly to bring Sarwel al-Shilqa from darkness to light to the current fashion, as it has been buried since the 60s. We can wear it on any occasion with sneakers or high heels. This artistic sense was inherited from their mother Salima, a famous Algerian stylist in France. Our mother is our idol. She was the pioneer of Algerian Nagafa and Mashda here in France. Shahina is a student in literature at the Sorbonne University during the day. She devotes her free time to her passion, the art of henna, which she has been practicing for more than 2 years. The contact with people is very pleasant. I generally accompany them at the happy moments, like marriage, birth occasions, and Eid holidays. The atmosphere is very cozy. The people who come are generally interested in our culture. The 213 store is a horizon of creation which is put at the service of visitors. wise customers who shared very strong links with Algeria. This is the target of this project, which has become a cultural house of modern times and which has introduced thematic musical evenings since the month of Ramadan. A successful challenge for these ladies, more than in a typical Algerian place. The 213 store has been transformed in a short time into a place that welcomes the lovers of modern Algerian art.
In the international news, hundreds of Moroccans took to the streets in Amsterdam in a peaceful demonstrations to denounce the tyranny of the Makhzen regime, which is targeting an isolated population. The demonstrators called for the release of the imprisoned demonstrators and journalists. Details with Manal Amari.
Hundreds of Moroccans originating from the Reef took to the streets of Amsterdam to protest and denounce the corrupt justice system and the repression that the inhabitants of the Reef have been facing for months. These are protests to denounce the continuous practices of the Moroccan regime, an occupation regime which uses dangerous practices against the inhabitants of the Reef. Within the span of 3 years, more than 60,000 inhabitants were displaced towards European lands, while young activists were arrested. For several months now, the Moroccan security forces arrested hundreds of protesters, including minors and many journalists, during peaceful protests, while 100 others were incarcerated, and some of them were even condemned with heavy sentences, going up to 20 years. A serious crime is currently taking place in the Reef, namely the annihilation of the community in another way. In the past, the inhabitants were killed through poison gas and military helicopters, and now the people are leaving through forced immigration. We took to the streets to denounce the racist policies used by the government by means of military siege, intimidation, rape, unfair trials, as well as kidnappings. And we will continue to fight until they are all released. We also have a large number of activists from the region who were forced to immigrate from their land and who can never return to their families and lead a stable life. Despite the ban on demonstrations imposed by the Moroccan authorities, the people are keeping their strong will to denounce and fight against the dangerous practices of the Makhzen regime, an increasingly authoritarian and arbitrary regime.
The woes of the Makhzen regime are far from new. They are the product of years of betrayal and dubious relations established with the Zionist entity. Manal Amari has more.
Le roi du Maroc, la monarchie marocaine, depuis 61, depuis Hassan II en tout cas, ça c'est sûr, elle collabore avec Israël et le Mossad main dans la main, avec les sionistes. Enfin, c'est pas, je ne dévoile pas un secret. Enfin, je veux dire, c'est connu et reconnu.
ويجب أن تكون إسرائيل موجودة آمنة في حدود معترف بها دوليا.
These two crystal clear statements prove once again that the Moroccan monarchy has always been working hand in hand with the Zionist entity. The Makhzen regime's betrayal towards the Arab Muslim nation as well as neighboring countries is not a secret, and it has been continuing for a very long time. Many historians and observers believe that the two parties maintained a close working relation for more than 60 years regarding military issues, intelligence and espionage, in addition to the liquidation of opponents. History will always remember that the Moroccan monarchy collaborated with the Zionist entity to enable it to achieve its expansionist objectives. Within these series of conspirations, a key character is André Azoulay, the special advisor of Hassan II, then of his son and successor, Mohammed VI. He is more than just a close advisor. Azoulay is in fact an agent of the Mossad, who adopts a Machiavellian strategy to make Morocco a dependency of the Zionist entity. The real leader of the Makhzen, the irremovable and influential André Azoulay, is in fact the mastermind behind Morocco's normalization agreements with the Zionist entity, which revealed the Moroccan regime's true colors. The plot that was put together in the kingdom between the royal palace, the Makhzen, and the security services, the close advisor of Mohammed VI, controls all of the royal family's actions, following the prolonged and repeated absences of Mohammed VI for over 5 years. Azoulay is the country's real governor. According to several intellectuals and opponents, André Azoulay launched a real takeover on the Moroccan throne and updated the close entourage of Prince Hassan III, who was announced as his father's successor, who is suffering from serious health problems, which led him to abdicate to leave the reign of the country to his son. Behind these succession maneuvers orchestrated by Azoulay, observers warned that the real work of depossession of the Moroccan people of their country is underway. The Zionist entity is already gaining terrain in Morocco. According to several testimonies, vast areas of agricultural land and land bases are being handed over to Zionists in exchange for a pittance. The same strategy was used in 1948 by the Zionist entity to depossess the Palestinians of their land. The agent of the Mossad and the close advisor of Mohammed VI is indeed considered as an architect of the foreign policy and the miserable social policy of Moroccans. We have both tyranny and corruption. Those who get higher positions are determined on robe in Morocco, while considering it a cash cow. They prohibited us from speaking up. What are they, a government or the mafia? Do we even have a government? In a Morocco marked by an increasingly critical economic and social context, popular discontent reached its peak. The Moroccan people are determined to continue their fight and thwart the devious plans of the Zionist entity and the Makhzen regime to destabilize the region.
And we will wrap up our news bulletin by these beautiful images from the opening ceremony of the African Cup of Nations U17.
تمنيت نعيش غير تالية في فرقية والدنيا هادية من غير هواس بالسما ولادك ديما سالية مفتون بزينك ونغيس في الوان شريس نعيش ونموت شريف نحلم بلوف ان بيس والفرحة دايما الوان هاي فرقية